game that they almost had.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it'd be funny to see how much of that they want to take into it. You can see Fizz actually being banned away there. Azir going to be a ban there as well. So pretty standard stuff. I like the ban there, throwing at Rhymeister as well.
Yeah, you have to get that Azir out of the way. It is his most played so far in the OPL. So following that with the Fizz ban, of course, super strong right now in this meta.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We changed patches. I believe actually we might have patched again. 5.11, I think, is where we're sitting at. It's at least 5.10 if we haven't quite moved up one. And all of a sudden, priorities just changed across the board.
Yeah, you've got the Fizz, you've got the Rise, you've got so many more champions that just out of nowhere just develop this strength with the small changes. Rise in particular generally is a first pick now.
Yeah, and you can see Echo actually getting banned away. Another champion that's, of course, been enabled now 5.10, been fairly popular. Rise going to join them pretty quickly, so standard stuff so far in the champ select.
But it is also mostly targeting Rhymeister here on the side of Avant, taking away the Echo and the Azir. From what I've heard, you do not want to give Rhymeister this Echo. He is a force to be reckoned with.
And we've talked about it, even though he's sort of played a lot of the similar champions here, a lot of the same stuff so far, lots of Azir, lots of Cassiopeia. Just don't give him the good mid laners. Here is Nunu, actually, the final ban from Avant.
One of our Juice specials, basically. Getting rid of the Nunu. Leaves open a lot of champions here at the moment, though. You can see mostly target bans here from the side of Avant. Taking away the Nunu, of course, strong in the meta. And Echo, of course, still strong in the meta, but they're basically so targeted that you can respond with whatever you'd like here on the side of Sin. At this stage, I wouldn't be surprised if they lock in that Rumble.
Well, we'll see what they want. They actually are going to take the Rumble away, so Rosie going to get, I think at this point, his most played champion.
Yeah, most played, most comfortable perhaps. He's very good with the high skill ceiling champions, loves to challenge himself and present an issue for other people. Rumble not commonly picked first because there is the soft counter picks all the time. Of course, you just avoid the Maokai. You can go for Hecarim or Gnar, and generally you're going to be in quite a good position. But confident enough in his own abilities and to take it away here from Porky.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to hit on. Don't give Porky Rumble either. They're really good top laners, these two. So, I mean, it's kind of star matchups across the board. We already have the Alistar locked in, though. I think at this point, also Destiny's most played champion.
That's a disgusting first pick right there.
Sivir
They've got the Sivir and the Alistar, two of the bot laners, which, as we mentioned in the pregame, plays to Avant perfectly. They've got the facilitators now on the hunt from that Sivir. The Alistar, who's always going to be in the front line, initiating with a Righteous Glory, perhaps. That's exactly how Avant love to play, and their first two picks suiting that perfectly.
Yeah, securing that bottom lane nice and early. We could see, of course, Sin did actually lose a ban, so maybe couldn't ban everything they wanted away. Couldn't get one half for the combo. Alistar been a very popular pick and ban, so going to be a strong option there for Avant Garde. We can see the hover here for Sin. Rhymeister, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve, but we'll see what they want to take away for themselves.
I'm a stern advocate of the Trinity Force right now on Yasuo. I've seen it, and it is disgusting. I don't think he would be blind picking it this early in the pick order, so let's not focus on it until it's locked in, of course.
Ooh.
If we are on 5.11, though, I can understand the Caitlyn.
I believe we are, because, yeah, that Caitlyn pick's coming through. Rek'Sai going to join in as a strong jungler, of course. But, yeah, we are on 5.11. Tell me all about Caitlyn, Rusty.
Basically just the headshot. Now, you can't cancel the ultimate, I think, from flashes because it does give vision now, which is really good, very handy, because the amount of times that Caitlyn gets trolled trying to use the headshot is just through the roof. And that aside, of course, the actual passive here doing ridiculous amounts extra to tanks now because it's taking away half of their resistances with every auto.
And that's one of the nice things because Caitlyn before, a fine pick, a great lane bully, decent late game as well. But in the Cinderhulk meta, she would have struggled now. Maybe a bit easier.
Yeah, the biggest concern with the Caitlyn is always going to be that mid-game trough. And now that you can basically afford to go full damage and still be able to shred through tanks with tactical use of your auto attacks, which is a very weird thing to say, it makes Caitlyn a lot more potentially viable now in the current meta. And they've got the Rek'Sai with it, of course. Great all-around meta jungler, and we might even see a Gragas in response, but hey, they might want the Sejuani instead.
Yeah, Chelby's been really impressive actually on the Sejuani, so he's going to take it away. Porky will get a nice late-game top laner in the Hecarim as well.
Yeah, very comfortable there. They've got the Hecarim into the Rumble, and it's still a slightly favored matchup here for Hecarim, so Porky comfortably picking that champion right now into Rosie, who had to take it away from Porky, so it's the position he has been put in. A little bit awkward at the moment. They've got the Hecarim and the Sejuani combo. They've got an Alistar and a Sivir.
Yep.
Between the 4 team members of Avant right now, that is disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically 4 different initiation ultimates, right? They can go in whenever they want here as far as their current comp's concerned.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how they have this availability. I mean, at the moment, they're basically missing a hyper carry for the mid lane. Kensti would want to go straight in for something that can scale super well with damage. We've seen him on his LeBlanc. Perhaps that's what he wants to go for.
I mean, Kensti always wanted to pull out some funky champions. Really has his own personal champion pull, it feels like, Kensti. It's actually funny to see the hover of the Assault earlier, because that was the legacy Kensti champion there as well. We'll see what Sin doing to take away. They lock in the Orianna. That's going to be the mid lane, a nice and safe lane. And Janna seems to be coming back for Trash Boat.
So we're looking at the completed Sin lineup now, and there's one thing that comes to mind almost immediately, and that is zone control. They've got the Janna who can defend a certain area, knock you out of certain areas, protect the zone where the Caitlyn perhaps may be. You've got the Orianna who can choose between being offensive and aggressive in positioning, or perhaps just putting the ball down on this area, controlling this spot and saying, you want to walk towards us, you're going to catch a shockwave on the way. And then we've got the Rumble, the exact same thing. Place the equalizer, you can put it to zone people away, or you can put it to just catch them in a bad position and make them move out. And even the Rek'Sai to a degree for vision spotting.
Yeah, I actually like a lot of what's going on here, but Avant, they finish their draft, they lock in the Kog'Maw, and that's going to be Kensti playing AP Cog.
It's nice to see Kensti starting to play and diversify his champion pool to fit with the newer meta more, so that AP Kog'Maw, if Kensti is going to be the one playing that, super good and is the scaling that this lineup required.
Yeah, I mean, kind of interesting. They've got a lot of initiation. Now going to add lots of poke and AoE. What do you think of the Kog'Maw just in the team comp that they've assembled?
Well, to be honest, the Kog'Maw is basically going to be a non-issue for the side of Sin if they can kill the frontline quick. But that's where Avant have done it right. They've picked 4 tanks and a Sivir, near impossible to kill. They've got all of this just tank line that can just run at you and just hunt you down, basically. And Kog'Maw is going to be sitting at the back at a very safe distance, doing whatever he would like.
Yep, and that's exactly what he wants to do. What do you think of the matchup as well, actually? Because, of course, Orianna, very safe blind. It was the pick here for Rymeister. What do you think of the counter pick here for Kensti?
Now, there's 2 paths that you can take in this matchup for the Orianna in particular. Kog'Maw looking to get that tier and scale through, ramp up in terms of damage, and do more in the later stages of the game. You've got the Orianna who can choose between, do I want to just farm through and scale the same rate, maybe accelerate the item build, go for that Luden's Echo with the Athenes, or do I want to win the lane, go for that Athenes again, but just play so much more aggressively, put down all of this burst, just look to control him and keep him in the lane and kind of deal with the wave clear, because if you let a Kog'Maw go completely unattended, just wave clear by himself, super comfortable, can even roam.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a bad time, right? Kog'Maw has a pretty low floor as far as his power goes. We've seen it happen before. It hasn't taken over in that many games, but it's been fairly effective so far when we've seen it in the OPL.
Yeah, every time we've seen a Kog'Maw and it hasn't won, it's generally because they actually lose super early in laning phase, and it just affects their scaling, whereas if they can get through comfortably, they do work.
Yeah, look great here. As you can see the team console on your screen. Let us know, of course, on Twitter who you'd like to win as well. Use the hashtag SinWin, the best hashtag for Sin, of course, and AV win there for Avant.
You've got to love the rhyming hashtag.
It's good
but of
times.
course, do not forget about Avant. If you think they're going to win or why they're going to win, feel free to tweet that at us.
Yeah, and of course, use the hashtag IamOPL if you want to get some additional info in there as well. But looking down the comments once again, you kind of already said it. It's zone control versus a massive tank line with a bit of poke from Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and I guess zone control against a front line this big is very difficult to do. You've got to get the void stuff as soon as possible. If one of your solo laners gets behind, if Porky or Rosie, or Rymeister do not get to that stage where they're actually a big threat, the front line can essentially run through them. Sivir's on the hunt, makes everything infinitely more possible, and is a very smart first pick here from the side of Avant.
I agree, but I think that we've got a new dynamic now. If Caitlyn's going to start seeing a bit more play, what do you think of the matchup there?
I think it favors Caitlyn by a fair amount in direct trades. The thing is, as a Sivir, and this was originally when Sivir was actually a little bit weaker, one of the picks into Caitlyn where it was quite comfortable, you can match the wave clear and you can spell shield her snap traps.
Yeah.
Free mana.
Yeah. Free mana.
You can't complain with free mana.
No, not at all. I mean, we've seen a lot of like telegraph skill shot champions into Sivir. If Sivir can use that spell shield freely and push down the waves, happy times.
That's right, and you've always got the availability of using that spell shield. Caitlyn quite predictable in the way that she uses her Q, of course, so you're generally speaking in a comfortable position here as a Sivir if you're able to keep your mana up by using the spell shield effectively. Where it starts to turn down and go heavily in favor of that Caitlyn is if it's a prolonged trade where the Sivir runs out of mana, because the range advantage is always heavily in favor of Caitlyn.
It is, and I mean, of course, we saw the first pick here was the dual lane there for Avant. Does the counter pick of their dual lane change anything? Do the supports make a difference here in the lane as well?
Well, you've got Janna, which basically says the Kardrid's going to be doing 90% of the work in the lane, because you've got the shield, the bonus AD, and yes, that alone makes a big difference in this lane at the moment, because Kardrid can play super aggressively and make it really hurt for Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Kardrid, of course, joining the lineup. He's got plenty of competitive experience, but has yet to play in the OPL this season, I believe. on AD carry, actually, I think, all the time in the OPL. So Koja's going to have a lot of fun things to do now back in the AD carry role.
Yeah, he's got a lot to prove for himself, of course, and the Sin lineup as it is, can they actually pull through in this game and get ahead?
Well, we'll have to find out fairly short. They're going to pop back into the studio as they get into the game.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time, and exciting team comps there, and I love to see the resurgence of Caitlyn now that we're on the 5.11 patch spawn.
Yeah, and pairing it with something like a Janna gives you a very disengaged heavy bot lane, something that people used to love doing against Caitlyn as she shoved up was gank her a lot, honestly, which is why we saw her kind of fall off, as well as some of the dips in the mid game. So going with something that keeps her safe during the laning phase is only going to mean good things.
Yeah, not to mention Cardred playing this as well, of course. Getting back onto an OPL roster, of course, formerly playing for Legacy there, but was a top laner. Of course, before that, originally, for all time, during Oceanic competitive play, was an AD carry player. So had his brief stint in the top lane, decided, no, I'm moving back down. We're playing some Caitlyn, we're getting things done. And he's been very vocal on social media, actually, about playing that Caitlyn.
Yeah, he likes to pick it up, and he's coupled it with a Janna. Trashboat used to play that champion a lot as well in the support position, so it really is a throwback lane. Haven't seen it in a long time, of course, first patch on 5.11, so this will be a good game to gauge what the relative strength of that bottom lane will be. Although I have a gut feeling that if you pick up a Sivir, you're just going to lane swap it.
Maybe lane swap it, maybe go for that fast push as well, and look, it is 5.11, might have some changes of that Luden's Echo as well. We'll see whether Kog'Maw is going to feel that in the hands of Kensti. But Sin versus Avant taking to the Rift now for our first game of the night. Starting a little bit early here as well. So fantastic to get our OPL action started an hour earlier on.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you see a big invade coming through from Sin. They are trying to get those deep wards, see if they can spot out the lane swap. Porky might need to be a bit careful.
Yeah, actually gets double harpooned there. But he's a majestic Rainbow Stallion. He's going to be A-okay.
That actually hurts the double jungle ability of Rosie a lot coming into the jungle.
Yeah, true. No Flame Spitter.
No Flame Spitter going to be able to heat up and get in that sweet spot. Instead, he's just going to have to fire some harpoons and try and leech some experience for that level 2. He'll be in fine in the laning phase just because you can use it for the last hit. But if it is a double jungle, it might affect it.
Yeah, and already we can see Warble there in the top side of the map. They are going to be able to spot wherever Destiny's going to go. There are loads of people on the Sin lineup moving towards the top side of the map. We'll see who's going to be backing off, who's going to be heading down towards the bottom lane, but it looks like Avant may have got a sneaky lane swap.
Yeah, so it certainly appears to be the case. You see that all the deep vision from Legacy makes them overconfident that they know where the bottom lane is, but that is not the case just because of how quickly Warble went up there, and the mind game definitely in AV's favor.
Yeah, lots of pings on the side of Sin. They are going to be able to spot Avant when they're moving around in their jungle. They know that Shelby and Porky are going to be there.
Okay, so Destiny showed a little bit early. They might miss... No, they're not even going to miss a creep. They will get up there in time. So that was actually a pretty big mistake coming through from the support player of AV.
Yeah, because I was thinking that Destiny probably more than happy to wait until the minions clash.
Exactly right. He could have just waited until they froze the lane out, then got up there late. He's not even going to get experience in a 1v0 anyway. So
he might even get found. Yeah, Cardred actually getting those auto attacks from the brush as well. You can see so much extra headshot damage there. Only needs a few to charge that one up, and we are going to have standard lanes just a little bit upside down.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're in a little bit of trouble now because there's not going to be anything Destiny can do to get up to these creeps, and you just see the bully pressure already out of that shield.
And this is the incredible thing about the Janna Caitlyn lane as well, is because you've got such long range on Caitlyn, you can get that Eye of the Storm shield off while that auto attack is mid-air and get the extra damage.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm actually surprised Trashboat went for the Ice Queen's Claim coming through there as the generation item, not the coin. He's looking to weave auto attacks in there as well, as opposed to just playing it nice and safe in the engage option. So we'll have to see whether he can proc that enough. Maybe it means they're going to fast push and he's just going to use it on the turret.
Yeah, and of course, Talisman of Ascension now with a slight buff as well, going to lose 20 seconds on that cooldown at higher ranks. I mean, when you have actually created it, not higher ranks, it's an item, Atlas. It's okay. Shelby going to be taking down his blue buff, and as far as the junglers are concerned, Huey heading towards his blue buff as well. Of course, standing in for Juves. Huey has been a bit of a veteran of the OPL thus far anyway, so we'll see how he's going to go. And of course, did favor the Rek'Sai when he was playing.
Yeah, certainly did. Love to pick that one up, and you see he's already doing a full clear as opposed to Shelby, who took major buffs. He's now trying to take down a Scuttle Crab, but Huey, he's going to be able to farm much quicker, but more importantly, much healthier than Shelby will, as Rosie might be caught.
Yeah, getting sandwiched here just a little bit, but does have a massive health advantage over the two AV members being said, still doesn't want to go 2v1.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't. And, you know, Porky, he went back after he took that first camp and grabbed himself a pink ward. So he's keeping a lot of pressure in his lane. And Rosie, he wants to get aggressive. We've already seen that he likes to try and 1v1 the fellow top laner. But with that pink ward, there's just too much risk to do so.
Yeah, Porky actually playing this lane very, very well. Is Boomerang going to get completely blocked out? Nicely
wow,
done.
Rhymaster going to get the first blue buff of the game. Once again, we spoke about how much resources they love to throw in this mid laner. If I'm a jungler, that's never happening, but Rhyme gets it.
Yeah, and Huey's actually, I think he's battling Juice for the most support that a jungler can give Rhymaster. He's like, yeah, I know how to do it. I'll give you the first blue buff. Nailed it.
Well, he technically doesn't need it. Even cooldown reduction isn't a huge deal on Rek'Sai at this point of the game.
Yeah.
So he's going to be completely fine. He didn't take too much additional damage. Got a shield off his mid laner, so he's perfectly happy as well.
Yeah, I'll trade a shield for a blue buff. Not too bad at all. And that's a massive experience boost this stage of the game as well. I mean, getting to that level 5, getting to level 6, of course, earlier on is just a huge deal, especially when you have that Shockwave, such a high impact ultimate.
Yeah, it certainly is. So the experience going over is also a huge factor that now Kenzie's going to have to take into account, especially because he went an early recall to grab his tier. That's generally what you want to do with Cogmore. Make sure that you can recall as soon as you have that gold to get it stacking up. Cogmore, until he has his ultimate, doesn't really stack tier very efficiently. Just has that ooze that he likes to use to farm. So see how this lane continues to go. Already 11 CS in favor of Rhymemeister.
Yeah, and you can see the top lane, talking about CS, it's a horrible story here for Avant fans. 19, now 20 to 35. And at this stage of the game, I mean, you might talk about the fact that, oh, it's only 15 CS, there's a relatively large creep wave, but when it's this early, that is a massive shutout here from our Sin lineup.
They'll be able to pull it back a little bit. You can see it's going back down to 8, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it certainly is not in their favor whatsoever. And they've even called their jungler up here. They want to get an item advantage, but Shelby needs to be careful.
Yeah, and you can see how much damage Cardrid's doing with the augmentation of Trashboat and all of his extra damage that he can add with that Eye of the Storm. And things are frightening for AV on the top side of the map. That being said, Kensty's still able to farm up relatively well against the blue-buffed Rhymeister.
Yeah, and there's going to get to a point in this lane where that happens, and there's just absolutely nothing you can do to deny Kensty farm after that. He's just going to ooze out the lane. It pushes so much quicker than what Orianna can hope to offer with Harass at the same time, which just puts Rhymeister in the position where he has to choose to farm over Harass Kensty.
Well, Cardrid staying in this top lane is going to be able to shove this one up to the turret. The swap is going to come back, though. Porky relegated to protecting this turret that's already down very low.
It actually might just fall on his way up there.
Yeah, and this wave also going to die to the turret as well. So AV might have to be careful here as Porky does hit level 6. There's the Onslaught of Shadows, actually, as Cardrid loses half of his health. Porky very tanky right now with his Balmy Cinder, but AV, they are going to use this opportunity to take themselves to the first dragon.
So that was actually smart because they were probably going to lose the turret regardless, but now they get a dragon in return for it. Rosie going up towards that top lane. The turret will go down, but Warble, he gets to leech a little bit more experience. They'll pick up the dragon for themselves, but they will lose the gold objective.
Yeah, and as far as like getting towards a late game stage, how do both of these teams stack up, and how important is it for AV to sneak an early dragon? Because are they going to get shut out with the equalizer power?
Potentially, you know, Caitlyn has that huge trough. Orianna has a little bit of a trough as well, so it's probably not that important for the first dragon. Okay. Cogmore secures dragons by himself, probably better than what Rosie does, because he has a spammable ultimate, whereas Rosie just has to hit one. So, like, you can just poke people off the turret repetitively with the, off the dragon, sorry, repetitively with the Cogmore. But it's all about that front line that they were speaking about out there. Shelby needs to start the fight up, and Porky needs to be able to get on top of Cardrid. If Cardrid is hitting Porky, almost guaranteed that they will win the team fight, just because with the challenging smite, Porky going to come out ahead of those trades by a long way.
Yeah, and that is the difference with these teams as well. I mean, AV probably with a fair bit more of that neutral secure with the double smite available to them. We'll see how that goes as we move towards the later stages of the game. Rosie up towards the top side has meant that Porky doesn't really want to hang around. Of course, now that he has that Haunting Guise on the side of Rumble, hit a bit of a power spike here.
Yeah, he certainly has. You see, Warble has actually committed to just being a farm bot at this point in the game. Picks up an Avarice Blade against a BF sword. So now with some levels, he's going to be able to shove the wave, but any trade whatsoever will go in Cardrid's favor.
Well, it already was spawned, so maybe he's just saying, okay, well, I'm just going to get me a little bit more money. We should be A-okay, but it'll take a fair bit to make up for the lack of CS that he's going to be causing on his side, just because he has sacrificed a lot of that lane control, as you mentioned. Looking back at the top side, pushing here for Avant. Porky's going to be able to get that one into the turret by the looks of things. And 8 CS in the lead for Rosie, who's starting to overheat, actually.
Yeah,
Porky
Rosie's in a great position
very
here.
aggressive. Yeah, there's the equalizer, and Porky may have to ult away. He's going to. Can Rosie catch up? No, he can't. Silence, no scrap shields for you, but that is definitely sending the message that Sin wants.
Rosie overheated on the wrong spell, wanted to do it on the harpoons. You could see that he wanted to try and get them both off. If he hit the first harpoon, there is no way that Porky would have been able to live through that trade, but still forces him out of lane, means the fact that he's going to have even more experience in his advantage, and that CS lead going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Despite that fact, is Avant still going to have this Heca Room for the late game? Is that Heca Room going to be enough, even though things are going difficultly here at the beginning?
They probably outscale them in every position, honestly, apart from AD carry. Alistair's just going to be so useful as that pseudo tank late in the game. Janna has much more area for mistake, especially with Porky flying in. It's very hard to keep Heca Room off your back line with a Janna. You have to time using your spells when they're not going to be wasted. As a well-timed gank into the top lane might be just what Porky needs.
Yeah, there's the scrap shield, but Rosie's still quite low on health. Devastating charge into the wall here as Chelby hasn't even used the ultimate yet. Oh, the flash from Rosie held it for the very last second and escapes the gank.
Yep. Shelby tried to line him up against the wall, so he had nowhere to go, but a nice diagonal flash comes through there, means that the ultimate doesn't hit, and just means that maybe they'll be able to defend this turret. He still has the teleport available, no dragon is up, so he'll get back for the wave.
Yeah, there it is. Huey waiting underneath this one. Teleport is going to come through. Porky sort of tanking this one up when he probably didn't want to, but Avant...
That was just a Barmy Cinder. He was trying to get rid of the tunnel.
A little bit sad. But Kensti now with that level 8, able to clear out these minion waves very effectively. You can see it now working very well.
It's so frustrating. Rhymaster's like, I should be able to zone you because I have much more efficient gold purchases coming through, but I just can't.
Yep, the tunnel for Huey though. There's the Prey Seeker. Oh, doesn't get the knock up as Kensti. Oh, Rhymaster locks it down with the last bit of his mana. Now Chelby trying to battle this one out. He's got a fair bit of damage as Huey might need to be careful, but Rhymaster turns his way back around and he's got enough mana to threaten the piggy.
Yeah, he certainly does with that blue buff coming through there. All the regen he could need. Will also be able to shove out another wave, and all of a sudden the whole map is very clearly in Sin's favor. They're winning every lane, continuing to bully as well. Laning phase not going to end for a very long time.
There's the headbutt pulverize in the bottom lane though. Oh, the boomerang misses. There's the exhaust onto Warble, who's thrown the ultimate down. Porky wants to find a way in, but Sin just nimble like they are, able to escape.
Yeah, and you can see how desperate Avant are right now. They know that they're a couple of thousand gold behind. That was an outright brute force. They didn't have Chelby down there. They didn't have a ward behind them. They teleported on top of the fight. It just meant that Kadra could walk away.
Yep. Not a whole lot more to say there. And look, they're going to try and make the most of this bottom lane. It's Huey. He's going to come around again. Knows that he got Kensti's flash before. No heal available either. But he's going to show himself to that ward, and it is going to mean that Kensti's going to be able to at least have some forward knowledge of that Rek'Sai's position.
Yeah, so Kensti really is a shining light right now. He is continuing to farm well, even after he died. He's got some good items. He's going to scale through into the mid game. As soon as that Luden's Echo comes out, even with the slight hit, it's not really going to mean that much to the Cogmore. So as long as they can protect this AP Cog, keep him nice and safe, should be okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I mean, Luden's Echo did take a little bit of a hit. Might mean that Cogmore's still going to pick it up. Are you going to still see the Luden's Echo on the Orianna?
Yeah, well, Orianna is another. Pretty much you have to move more than you throw out spells. It used to be good for people that spam spells stationary as well as people that moved around. So Orianna, if she goes into this highly mobile skirmish form as a fight top lane.
Yeah, Chelby looking for the ultimate. Does get the slow onto Rosie as the ult comes through. On top of the equalizer are two members though. Porky might get soloed out here as he's in the danger zone on the side of Rosie, but is able to get enough damage as Porky, and with 4 people, you have to think probably was gonna die.
Yeah, it certainly was, but he made them use the absolute maximum there. Destiny used the flash as well. They might be able to shove through for a turret exchange, but the bottom definitely going down as well.
Yeah, it's Rek'Sai and the old Caitlyn. And Caitlyn, this is something that we haven't been able to talk about for quite some time, is the fact that just wants to get in front of a turret as often as possible in the mid game, as Kensti takes half of his health by one combo from Ramos.
Yeah, and you know, going to be useful against the Cogmore as well, because just will ult him whenever he sees him and be able to force him off the lane when there's only one wave clearing threat, although Warble will become one as soon as he gets any semblance of AD, as opposed to the pseudo attack speed weird build he's going right now.
The pseudo attack speed weird build, I like it.
Yeah.
Is that the technical term?
I think so. I think that's what they're calling it on the scene nowadays.
I like it.
As
I
Cardred,
like it.
you watch, you just line him up here. Even Shelby's a good...
Oh, there's a shockwave, max range. Cardred lines it up. He's going to be able to pick up the kill. Don't even know whether he used the ultimate there, as Destiny does need to be careful. Unbreakable Will is available, just holding onto it for now as Porky going to find his way around. Doesn't have the ultimate just yet, so Huey not going to be in too much trouble. But Sin with a whole lot of control this game, really pushing the advantage.
Yeah, and you know, they called it a control comp. They've got the area control that comes out of Rumble, out of the Orianna, can catch people off guard. You saw that was just unsuspecting by Kenzie. He didn't know that that was going to hit him because he felt like with half health he would be completely safe. They pull the trigger on a couple of ultimates and get another kill.
Yeah, very nicely done. And of course, get another turret as well. And this is what Sin looked to be trying to do. Destroy the outer ring. Get Cardred in front of a turret as often as possible, because the more global gold they pick up, the less trough there's going to be for this Caitlyn.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. That was always the tactic with Caitlyn. Just dominate legs.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got so many legs. It's so difficult to deal with. Thankfully, we are back into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Sin versus Avant, as Destiny's just going to nurse Warble back to some semblance of high health, and he's just really looking for that BF sword.
Warble right now is committed to scaling. Like, honestly, he's had that Avarice Blade since about the 5th minute in the game when they tried to get their lane swap back. They've taken all the outer rings, so they of turret. Sin have taken the outer ring of turret, so there's a lot of space on the map for Warble to pick up stray minions, and that's all they're trying to do. Get him around. He's like a Hoover right now. Just give him some creeps.
Yeah, and look, what better champion to use as a Hoover? Of course, you do have that Ricochet, massive AoE, goes straight through a creep wave, plus the boomerang to finish them all off. Not too bad at all. Securing those last hits like you would not believe. Cardred also pretty dang good at that. As you can see, it's just one auto attack on each of the backline minions.
And that's why I'm glad Caitlyn's back in the meta, because there is no champion more satisfying to auto attack with. Maybe Soraka and Caitlyn.
Yeah, hitting people with bananas feels pretty good. As Huey going to take down a Rift Scuttler for himself. A few members of AV are hanging around, but they don't quite have the vision, and that is something that Sin have definite control over.
And I want to talk about Huey's item build for a little bit, because you can see right now AV have a lot of defensive wards on the map, but it's being supported very well by Sin. They also have a lot of vision across, and you look at the items, there's an Aegis on one side and then a Sightstone on the other. So Huey right now has the power because he's been able to farm harder, and he's actually been able to convert that into combat stats, whereas Shelby, sure, the multiplicative scaling that comes through from Cinderholt going to make Sightstone a little bit of a better purchase, but he's just not getting the bang for buck right now. And we talked about the power troughs. Huey's doing his bit by not buying supportive items to help Sin through that power trough, because right now, he and Rosie are very strong.
Yeah, well, Rosie being a little bit cheeky around the side. You did mention the fact double penetration items really, really strong, and also up 24 CS, so going to be pretty happy there. Porky with his teleport available, also with the smite, does have his Cinderhold completed and looks to be going straight for that Trinity Force. And is that a recommended choice here? We've seen a lot of tanky Heckrums do fantastically well as well for going that until about the 4th item.
With the amount of threat on the lineup right now, he would need 2 or 3 tank items to get himself to the point where he can delete it as they go in.
Yep, Cardred looks for the net as there's the flash, but Shelby only gets the slow.
Shelby had the flash available. If they wanted to secure the kill, they should have flashed on it.
Well, they definitely did want to blow everything there, so of course maybe just a little bit of holding off. And Shelby, you don't talk about holding off very often.
Yeah, you certainly don't, but when you commit so many ultimates trying to get into range of someone, that pretty much means they can't fight for the next couple of minutes. Now Avant going to be forced to react around the map to exactly what Sim want to do.
Yeah, and you got Rhymeister heading towards the top lane as well. Looks like this is going to be the next port of call, but Cardred very far away, and they don't have quite enough siege without him there. Kenzie able to clear out that minion wave very quickly. Porky only loses a bit of his health.
Yeah, but now Cardred, he's in CS heaven right now. He's never with his team, always the one picking it all up, and the siege continues in the top.
Yeah. Kenzie still able to clear out the minion waves. They actually got no damage on the turret just then, did Sin, so just going to have to head back into the jungle and clear up some jungle camps from AV. And Sin probably still happy with that. Denying the jungle camps also very, very strong.
Oh, definitely, especially when you're denying it away from someone like Shelby. You see now it's nearly 30 CS advantage, and they're minions, not just creeps coming through there, so they're going to be much more monsters. Sorry, gosh, minions, monsters, creeps. It's just
so many different terms. Look, let's just go all of them being creeps. Doesn't that work?
Not really, because then you can't say which ones cost more.
Dang it. Okay, yeah, it's the monsters, isn't it? All right, well, Kensti going to get boomerang by Warble, but it's going to be fine because they're on the same team.
Shelby gets blue dot syndrome, walks himself into a lane.
Hey, look, getting farm on a Sejuani, it's a good idea.
Certainly is, especially when you play frontline role, how Shelby does.
Yeah.
You want to also crack the outer ring of turrets, so you understand why he's the one that rotates around, trying to get it set up right now. AD and support coming in for some help.
Yeah, 25 seconds on this Dragon as well. Ricochet going to get some turret aggro there for Warble that he probably didn't like, but still able to clear out these minions very effectively. Probably has enough for that Infinity Edge, just has wanted to head around this map and be where his team needs him to be rather than going back and shopping at this stage. Rosie on the top side does have a huge wave of minions pushed in towards him and is going to continue with that huge CS advantage that he does have built up for himself.
Yeah, so he's just continuing to bully. Goes to Leandries as the second completed item coming in there. Don't really know whether I agree with that. I think he could have got a lot more power out of an arm guard because of the AD damage that most likely will be hitting him. But Sin, they're going to secure themselves a second Dragon. Avant don't want to respond.
Yeah, Avant actually giving this one up completely, and all the forward vision from Sin means that they know that Porky's towards the top side. Of course, the teleport was available, but they also knew that Avant were trying to get this blue buff. Oh, did he get it? Trash rate. Oh, no, not quite able to secure that one with the Howling Gale.
Yeah, so it was Kog'Maw, and he's now got the Luden's Echo. So this is where Kensti should be very happy in the game. Should just be able to mow through these creeps and be able to continue to put pressure in the mid lane.
Yep, you can see pretty easy to do that as well. Sin are just going to try and leave the Kog'Maw lane, let him get the farm where he is and move towards where they can actually pick some of this up.
But the difficulty here is that they have two wave clearers. They've got the Sivir as well as that Kog'Maw, and you see that they can't really shove in on this one either because Warble's able to chunk that wave out fairly effectively. So as long as they keep their two wave clearers split up, make sure that it is Porky answering the teleport pressure, it's not going to be an easy task of cracking this siege.
Yeah, and is that why it's sort of intelligent here of Porky to pick up what is possibly a Trinity Force first? Because he might be in this sort of 1v1 situation for a whole lot of this game.
Yeah, definitely is a possibility that it gets to the point where he's just dueling Rosie and the Trinity Force going to be much more to that challenging Smite in a 1v1 duel, probably enough to keep him healthy right now.
Yeah, potentially. Well, we'll see whether it does work out. Of course, only a theory for now, but see if it's going to work. Now the Sheen completed for Porky as well, so a bit more burst damage. The Devastating Charge going to be doing some work. Kadra just continues to smash away at these creeps. The Zeal completed, heading back to base now. We'll see whether he can finish that Phantom Dancer or whether it is going to be the Static Shift for even more pushing power. Does look like the Phantom Dancer is going to be coming through, so that all of the single target auto attack damage for this Caitlyn that she could ever want.
Yeah, they're pretty much committed to the late game right now because it's just so hard to break the base, so there's no point, I guess, going for the cheaper item deal. Just grab the Phantom Dancer, make sure that you're ready to fight at the 3 item mark, grab the Bloodthirster most likely, and just keep firing out those huge headshots.
Yep, smack people with it, of course. Yeah, I guess you can just go for more flat AD with the fact that you are going to be ignoring a fair bit of that.
So right now, I think the Bloodthirster third is a must on Caitlyn because it synergizes so well with the kit, makes you better at sieging. Your range means that you can sometimes hit past the front line as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely think that with the changes in the headshot, better than the last Whisper.
Well,
although that's me, and I'm not a good AD carry. That's mathematically correct, though.
Yeah, mathematically. So that's all you've got to say. You don't need to admit to anything like that. But Huey did steal away a Raptor Camp, and that's something worth talking about, of course. Really horrible feeling when you've done all the work, and then he just comes through with a smite, takes it away from you.
And they actually beat them to the top side of the map. Kadra chunking through this turret.
Yeah, Kensi trying to get the Voidoo's in the right spot. There's the Luden's Echo getting a lot of work done in the backline, and Sin, they do almost get it down, but Avant holding on for now, and now they have the position.
Yeah, and this is where it just gets incredibly hard for Avant to really respond to all the turret pressure because the inside track that Destiny's trying to clear just got cleared out by Sin, and it just makes it risky to be able to rotate through lanes.
Well, Porky is waiting off to the side, wants to try and get in there with the ultimate if he can. As Shelby flashes forward, gets Kadra with the ultimate. Porky not quite here in time though. Rymeister, there's the single target shockwave, but it might be the pick that they're looking for. It's Warble. He's caught on the wrong side of the equalizer, uses the spell shield, but does have to flash away. There's the ult coming down as Porky just stands in the way and is going to save his AD carry's life. But that's a turret and a kill for Sin with a brute force play.
Yeah, just getting in there and making sure that they're making the proactive plays as now Destiny gets spotted out. But Sin right now, they're just riding all the power waves they have. The fact that Rhymaster is so incredibly strong. Cardred good at sieging down turrets, even better now that he's picked up the Phantom Dancer, and they're just looking to catch one member out. Shelby's trying to make the aggressive plays, but it's just not working.
No, he's not. You can see Huey here as well. Does have that Lock of the Iron Solari completed. They're going for all of the magic resist that they can possibly find because they do not want to get poked out by this Kog'Maw, who does almost have the Archangels completed. We'll see whether it is going to be a Seraph's Embrace straight away, just because he does spam out a lot of those spells. As Cardred's going to continue clearing this mid lane. You're exactly right, man. I just love watching Caitlyn farm.
Oh, especially when she gets... if the double Phantom Dancer comes out, I'm going to be so happy. Because it's the best quick automate.
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, Cardred and Radiant, they have spent a lot of time on the Rift against one another. And
Cardred was the first person that I really saw that used to go double Phantom Dancer alone. It's because he plays Caitlyn, no attack speed steroids.
Yeah, well, good point. Well, we'll see how it happens. Of course, Radiant has been doing it recently, which is why I brought it up. But yeah, you're exactly right. And look, Porky down towards the bottom side. And Sin now decide that it is going to be the mid lane that is going to be the focus. Arctic Assault actually on cooldown now from Shelby. Is the Boomerang going to try and clear out this wave? And it's the battle of the wave clear right now.
Yeah, it certainly is, but it means that they're forcing CS away from the key carries. You see that the wave side lane's crushing down all that CS. Sin can leave whenever they want if they decide they need more gold on their carries, but it's just creating this rift between the ADs. 50 CS is the advantage right now for the Caitlyn, and Sivir just having an incredibly difficult time catching up.
Well, I mean, I guess Kenstein now actually with a little bit of a CS advantage by about 16 has gone back and picked up the Seraph's Embrace straight away. So from tier to Seraph's Embrace, how much of a boost is that?
A lot.
Yeah.
I don't know the actual...
I want to know the actual number.
P. No, don't know it for you.
Well. Look, we'll have to see how much it
going
adds
for a
up.
Baron
It's
here.
a lot. But it'll be upwards of about 100, 110 AP, I could imagine.
I don't know the percentage value. Depends whether he has scaling mana.
Yeah, that's true. Probably doesn't.
Probably not.
No, I don't know whether that's exactly an
I was
optimal
looking for
choice.
an out, but you know, just keep going with it.
Yeah, not bad. That's just what I do. Ball is going to zone away the members of Avant. As looks like Sin definitely able to out-rotate here, heading towards this inner turret. And look, Porky, you got a bit of red dot syndrome, headed towards that top side, and it means that the inner turret falls down. Dragon is going to be the next option here. 2-1 currently in favor of Sin, and it looks like they are going to be able to pick up their third, only making things worse for Avant because Sin going to be able to move that a little bit faster.
Yeah, they certainly are. And, you know, this is actually what Avant needed to do without giving up the 2 turrets that they had to give up. They just want to defend the turrets as best as they can and get Porky into a side lane, because there will become a point in this game where no one can do anything against the Hecarim. He's just going to get that incredibly durable during these team fights that he's going to be able to ride out a lot of the damage and get someone off the rift. But just not at that point right now, and doesn't look like he's going to be able to get there for quite some time, so they need to continue to stall.
Yep, vision being cleared off around this Baron buff as Sin kind of understanding that the siege is a little bit difficult despite the fact that they do have the extra range of the Caitlyn, able to siege
now they're
very
setting up for
effectively.
the Baron, and all of a sudden, on the wrong side of the map is Warble. Although that poke damage is ridiculous.
Yeah, get Kenstein anywhere near that situation, he's going to have a field day. As you can see, Sin not exactly feeling so crash hot after starting off that Baron. I'm going to think twice next time around, but AV, they've only got 1 turret to the 5 of Sin, and that's a large amount of this gold lead in favor of Sin Gaming.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the Rylai's build now completed for Rosie.
Yeah.
Getting in there, he has a little bit more HP, has the ability to slow, but a lot of AoE coming out of his kit, so not the best slow coming through. Harpoons will make people stand still though, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. There's also the fact that Flame Spitter now gets double Leandry's damage, so, I mean, I like that. Bit of synergy.
Hey.
Oh, Trash Boat takes half of his health from Baron after Kenstein throws a sneaky living artillery onto him.
So builds are definitely personal things, and you know, I don't think there's actually, well, there are right and wrong ways to build some champions, but a lot of champions like Rumble have this open build path. Like, you kind of have to go double pen. Then do you like Abyssal Scepter? That could be a great item for you. Do you like the fact that you can get a Zhonya's Hourglass? That could be a fantastic item. Some people just like the fact that HP is efficient against both. Doesn't mean that you have to go into either, and that's the reason they pick it up. However, speaking efficiency-wise, everything that comes out of Rumble's kit, except for the Harpoons, is AoE. So doesn't really have the synergy that would be very obvious on paper, apart from the Electro Harpoons.
Well, I guess the Equalizer is going to be something a little bit more Yeah, it's like you mentioned, not exactly the best. It's Rosie, speaking of which, is going to get slightly caught out here. Avant find the ultimate from Porky. The flash from Rosie going to get him out of there, and Destiny does have to turn
go
around.
for the flash.
Yeah, interesting.
So they're really committed to keeping their summoner spells right now, Avant.
Yeah, and is that because they're looking for an optimal team fight that they can
Maybe
snowball
they're
up?
concerned about like a dive or something like that, where if Alistair doesn't have the flash as they go in for the dive to really nail the backline and shove them under the turret, they might get caught out by the long range of both Cardred as well as Rhymemeister. But that was once again something that looked like a very obvious free kill that they just didn't commit to.
No, I didn't decide to take anything from it. Rosie going to celebrate by picking himself up a drink. Does have the elixir now in his inventory, so it looks like Sin looking to try and find a fight relatively soon.
But as soon as that is upgraded into the Spectre's Cow, you would think that Porky should be starting to get the better of these 1v1 trades. You saw that he won that one out pretty handedly in the end.
Yeah, and of course, with only the flat penetration from the 2 items that Rosie's picked up, any magic resist going to be that little bit more important on the side of Porky. So, look, has actually just gone for the Merc Treads. Does have the Home Guarders as well.
Yeah, certainly a fantastic pickup to come through there just for the teleport ganks that can come through, really get onto the back line. The attack speed double dips as... movement speed double dips. There's so much more attack damage that comes through off the back end of that, especially if you're able to nail someone like the Caitlyn, who is going Last Whisper. So throw that out the window. Sustain, not important.
No.
Last Whisper, very important.
Unless he's going for another Infinity Edge or against his Rage Blade.
Double Infinity Edge. What else builds out of it? More of Malmortius.
Yeah. Black Cleaver? Oh, no, not Black Cleaver, sorry. Frozen Mallet?
It does.
Yeah.
That was the last one we missed on that time.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunate. And of course, probably one of the only relevant items that we could have spoken about. So
no, back then it wasn't. Don't say that. That was before we'd seen it.
Yeah, and you weren't exactly a fan, if I remember correctly.
Still not a fan.
Yeah, we're reminiscing just a little bit now. As the Cow going to move towards the mid lane, it looks like Avant looking to try and secure some vision. Of course, Sin with a whole lot around that Baron area. Avant not wanting to start it up, but at least now knowing...
Porky was looking at him. He looked tasty for a bit.
But Rex are going to be heading towards the Raptors.
I thought you were going to say Pony's a herbivore until you didn't go for it. I was going to laugh, but you know, if you don't want to go there.
No, you still laughed. You gave it to yourself. That's much better. There we are. You come up with the intelligent jokes. I'll just say the stupid ones.
And a really big lull in this mid game, actually. Stabilizing at about a 5,000 gold advantage for Sin. They might just be waiting that minute for Dragon to come up. They do have good wards on the top side of the map. The bottom is completely free, so you see Trash Boat and Huey heading down there.
Yeah, and look, I want to talk about the fact that we have had a lull, because it seems to be working for Avant. This 5,000 gold lead has not been changing.
Yeah, it theoretically worked for Avant because the gold lead didn't change, but then you look at the completed items that they picked up. Death Cap's now come across. They're about to grab a Last Whisper, nearly Aranduin's Omen. So if it goes for another couple of minutes and Avant can do that and pick up the completed item in the Void Star that will come through, as well as the Locket of the Iron Solari, it might have lasted long enough. But right now, they've timed it really well with completed items, and Porky's in trouble. He has to hold.
He's so slow. There's the Onslaught of Shadows, so Porky not going to have that. Yeah, easy Dragon. And that's going to be the 4th for Sin as well.
Yeah, so you see, that's the reasoning behind it. If you nail the harpoons on a single target, Rylai is a very good pickup.
Yeah, and of course, Rosie known for his ability to hit skill shots. This guy, always a very mechanically strong player, even when he was playing in that support role for the Chiefs. So look, good decision, and shows us exactly why he went for that choice.
Yeah, so we'll have to see whether he transitions into something a little bit more aggressive. Does he go defensive from here and try and frontline for his team? But Sin, they're going to pick up Dragon number 4, and it doesn't look like there's much Avant can do about it.
Yeah, Destiny is going to clear out some vision, and Sin easily take this one down. So a big timer in the back of the AV mines, because they know if this 5th Dragon goes to Sin, they can brute force their way.
Yeah, they certainly can. And you know, Kensti, he's so close to that level 16. That might be the power spike they're looking for. Level 3 ultimate coming through with the super range artillery going to be able to land. But right now, they're just struggling so much to create any opportunity for themselves.
Yeah, and look, half of the HP on that mid turret as well. Only one still for Avant, as Porky does need to be careful, but it doesn't have the ultimate available anymore. But Devastating Charge going to get the pony enough to canter away.
But right now, with Porky starting to lose out on those 1v1s, we said that he was slightly ahead. Turns out Rosie able to take the duel if he starts it on his turn. Just means that they don't have any options to shove into themselves. They can't get past the Orianna Caitlyn wave clear. it's being forced so much harder by Sin right now. They can't win any of the 1v1 matchups, so they really are just forced to wave clear and hope something goes wrong on the other side of the rift.
Yeah, well, it's seeming like that. And now Sin with gigantic item spikes. This is what you were talking about. Randuin's Omen completed. Last Whisper now completed for Cardred. Even has the Alacrity enchantment on his boots for fantastic color coordination and damage. Because you've got green, blue, red, and yellow. And it's like all the primary colors plus green. Sort of feels like you've got most of it sort of there. No, sorry guys, Spawn actually gave me a funny look there, which is why I sort of had to
Justify it.
Yeah, justify what I was talking about. Made sense to me. I don't mind. Thank you.
I like it.
Well, looks like Sin going to be able to clear out some vision. Oh, they do clear out that one as well. It was
Porky's
sneakily
still
hiding
base.
in the stump.
Ward on the top side of the Baron Pit that would be really good. That one on the top left-hand side of the map, that would have been great to teleport to, but everyone just splits back up.
Yeah, it looks like Porky's still waiting for their way in. Of course, it's a bit dangerous here. It must feel like he's sort of at the top of a very, very high diving board at the moment. Like, okay, this is going to be frightening jumping into this back line, but look, decides in the end just to say, nope, I'm coming down the stairs. Let's just try and fight this Rumble.
Yeah, so he's going back into the Rumble lane where Rosie has just hit level 16, so huge equalizer going to be coming through. Kensty's still waiting on that one, although now has a voice staff, and you see that is starting to do some work, especially when they hit Cardred.
Yeah. And Cardred, you can see, not with any sort of self-heal whatsoever. Does want that Vampiric Scepter as soon as possible, as the ball not going to find Shelby, who wants to get his way in. Oh my goodness, Trash Boat. One ultimate from Kensty. He's down at half health, as Shelby equally taking some damage there from the dissonance from Rymeister, who's offering a fair bit of damage himself.
Yeah, has the trinity of AP items and the upgraded food, so he's in a fantastic spot. You see the cow now picked up. Rosie's grabbed himself a needlessly large rod. You would think that would probably be that Zhonya's Hourglass that we spoke about, trying to get himself a little bit more of a frontliner coming through there. But right now, Sin, they're just holding out the map, making sure that they're not giving up any objectives. The goal discrepancy right now, 4 turrets. 5 turrets to 1.
Yeah,
wow.
Huey looking for an engage though. There's the Command Protector's Destiny. The Unbreakable Will's down. The teleport coming in from Porky. We'll see whether he can make the difference here as he gets knocked up as he makes his way in. Trash Boat may be in trouble as the double shockwave on both of the big tanks. Warble still alive though as Shelby finds the ultimate. Porky with the huge one in the backline, but Trash Boat able to use his Monsoon, and AV are melting to the hands of Sin. Triple knock up from Huey as Destiny tries to flash away, but it's now clean up. Kensty on his own as the little Cogmore that could, and Warble, Trash Boat's hunting him down. Does have a spell shield there, as Trash Boat does need to be careful, turns it around, and he got a little bit overexcited, but it's still a win for Sin Gaming.
Yeah, Trash Boat thought he was still an AD carry. Turns out he's not, he's just a little Janna, but they will break the base. And what a team fight coming through. Shelby nailed his ultimate. They tried to channel it, but unfortunately no one caught Trash Boat. He got the full channel of the ultimate coming through, and they're going to be able to clean up double inhibitors.
Yeah, they pick up both of them here. Of course, Sin with so much wave control at this same time, able to have the minions, able to catch up at exactly the right moments. And look, they didn't lose Cardred and Rymeister, and that's the big deal. And I just want to talk about Trash Boat there just for a moment, because that Monsoon was huge.
Yeah, it certainly was. It reset the fight. It meant that all the layered CC and the ability for them to dive on the backline just did not matter. And right now, if AV cannot get a Baron, this game is... It's really hard even with the Baron, but the Baron will help them defend at least for a little bit.
Yeah, well, they might have actually got the inside track on that one.
They definitely do, yeah.
Yeah, able to get it started at least. Rosie charging this one up. Does have the equalizer available, actually, which is ridiculous. There it is, comes down, and Warble takes so much damage. He might be caught between a rock and a hard places. There's the last Harpoon, nails it from the Rumble. AV able to clean up the Janna, but that trade not worth it. Oh, there's the Shockwave, takes out Kensty. Baron helping out there as well, as AV still struggling to take down Rosie, who had that Zhonya's Hourglass. Such a huge purchase as Rosie does get taken down by Destiny, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. Porky trying to devastating charge away. Huey wants to get the knock up if he can, and Shelby's there as well. So the 2 tanks from AV still alive. I think that Porky will make it out of this one as Huey trying to get down. Oh, actually, a little bit of a fake out there. Base gate. That was very cute. As Porky devastating charges away.
But he's on the wrong side. All of a sudden, they're on his base turret. Porky's outside. Cardred just going to knock on his front door.
Yeah, and these turrets are falling down so quickly. Cardred made his way back into the base as well. Second Nexus turret to fall, and Avant Garde, they may lose this game right now. There's Porky with the last-ditch effort. Command Protect for so much shielding, though, as Huey, he might have to get out of there because everyone on AV has respawned. 38 minutes into this game, the death time is not exactly at their highest, and AV have held on, but that's no Nexus turrets available anymore. Sin with all the control in the world, and now a 5th Dragon.
Yes, they're going to, not yet, but they will grab it in a couple of seconds, and that's just honestly really devastating right now because they're going to force them out of the base. All of the turrets are gone. They can just walk back up to Baron because AV, they know that if they can't secure it, it's just going to be given over for free, and Sin, they don't want to play that game. They're just going for the base.
Yep, and they've got a ward here as well, so they know not going to be able to get there. Huey, he just wants to use that 5th Dragon buff to help him out, taking down this Nexus.
All the backs as well.
Oh, he's being so frustrating as Kensty's actually going to fall down. Doesn't even get hit by the ultimate, and that is going to be the game. Sin, what a beautiful tactical performance. They just knew when they needed to fight.
Yeah, they just forced around the map, made sure that they were always the proactive team, swept vision very well, and were much more combat ready because of the builds that they went. They were able to get Caitlyn over that speed hump, and really credit to Cardred because he dominated the laning phase, and it was just a slight hiccup. AV walked over a ward and the 2v2 was spotted out.
Yeah, and it just seemed like Sin had all of the answers. Whenever AV moved to take something, moved to get somewhere, it was always in reaction to what Sin had already planned, and they were getting their Caitlyn to the right positions, and I believe that was still just one turret for that entire game. Avant tried to move around and pick them up, but they just could never.
Yeah, exactly right. They never had the range advantage. They were always on the back foot using these champions that are great pushers to retroactively push waves back. No point in the top lane was Porky stronger than Rosie, so they just weren't able to get any advantages.
Yeah, they just couldn't get there. But for some further analysis, let's throw it out to Pastry Time and Rusty.
Thank you very much, guys. We are going to get into a bit more of that game, but Rusty, Sin Gaming, that remake finally coming through, and what a game there.
Yeah, it was slow and steady, that game, but eventually towards the end, the big team fight started to really break out, and we saw Sin come out very strong. They ended up coming out ahead in the team fights. They got the Baron control, the Dragon control. Everything just started to look up and up for Sin.
It was, slow and steady certainly as the game goes on, but we sort of noted in the draft when we looked through the champion select, both sides honestly drafted really strong comps.
Yeah, honestly, I looked at the Avant lineup as we're seeing it right now, of course, and I thought they had an exceptionally strong team comp. Now, I do want to run through these team comps a little bit more in depth just to give you my insight on what I actually felt that they were going to accomplish here. And first and foremost, we'll look at the side of Sin. So we're looking at a team that wants to hit level 6, and they want to use that level 6. They want to control zones, as mentioned in the pregame, which they did quite well, to come out ahead in team fights. And you've got the Rumble, who controls with the Equalizer, the Orianna with the Shockwave. You've got even Janna to an extreme extent, which was a big factor in this game for the disengage. And because that was a big factor, you have a look at the side of Avant now, and you've got literally all engage except for a Kog'Maw. And Kog'Maw, fulfilling his purpose of actually putting the poke down and doing a lot of damage to the Sin lineup. But then you have a look at the rest of his team, and they need to go. We saw a couple of times where the Sejuani just didn't hit that ultimate that they were looking for, and even when the Sejuani hit that ultimate, it was being disengaged super well. And the reason that Sin came out ahead in most of these team fights is because they were counter-engaging with their superior zone control.
How strong as well were those level 6 power spikes coming through from the Avant side, because they had so many good ultimates they could have used.
Oh, they had a massive amount of strong ultimates that they could have used effectively. It just didn't really go to plan. The lane swap put a big advantage in favor of Sin there early. The early Dragon that Avant got was looking good for them. It was starting to become a win condition, but then the swap back, Sin managing to pick up that second Dragon, and every consecutive Dragon after that, completely uncontested. And, nothing really happened for the first 25-odd minutes until we have our team fight in the mid lane.
Yes, let's pull up one of the first replays now of some of these team fights. You said it took a while. Sin at this point, already fairly far ahead. Take us through the replay, Rusty.
So before we roll this clip, the important part is that Sin, they're looking to engage, but they realize the engage isn't that great. And what they possess as a team of 5 with their individual champions is the ability to back off and start it again. So we'll roll the clip, and you can see Avant getting very antsy, looking for fights. Huey finds them in an awkward position, essentially, to just try and get onto someone. Chelby turns this around the second the teleport comes in and tries to find this avenue to go back in. But you can see the Sin lineup utilizing that Orianna shield, the Janna shield, everything, just completely negating that Sejuani and the Hecarim ultimates, just putting themselves in a fantastic position to sustain through the fight. And you can see followed up perfectly. Huey hitting that knock up, everyone going down here, picking up a big win in favor of Sin. Kenzie, the last one to go down. Again, not a pressing concern. And I guess it is worth noting that Jana kind of goes a little bit too ham here and pushes her luck, finds a trade for Avant. But again, their team fight, very, very strong, but Avant could not pull the trigger in the way that they were looking for.
And I felt like in that last replay especially, you mentioned it before, that zone control just won them that little exchange there.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that they had that Rumble equalizer, they had the Orianna and the Jana, the fact that they can readily disengage was the big determining factor in who came out ahead. And Sin being able to essentially prolong the fight was the biggest deal.
Yeah, we have another major team fight as well coming up. So this is the actual last fight of the game around the Baron. And again, Sin very far ahead at this point, but just a demonstration of how good that comp is when put together.
They were super far ahead, but the most important factor is you do not start the Baron when a Rumble has vision of you. You're now stuck in this little pit. So we'll just roll the clip and we'll see how this actually starts to unfold, because you've got this Rumble who's readily available with the equalizer. Look how bad that is for them already. The rest of Sin, Trashboat even being in the front line, just presenting an issue as Rosie actually takes down a kill from the top lane. That equalizer was disgustingly good. The rest of this Sin lineup, a little bit late to respond, but Rosie having that Zonia's, giving his team enough time with the equalizer, the rest of Sin come in and basically decimate their way through what is left of this Avant lineup. Porky not really able to have an impact. The Sejuani ultimates not able to hit that big targets that they were looking for, not all at once. The side of Sin being able to control certain zones, and what we saw from that in particular, the Rumble ultimate, being able to force them away from the Baron and into the side of Sin, is a convincing team fight and exactly what they were looking for.
It really is. So, I mean, all in all, we looked at Avant's comp and said, this draft, it's amazing. Any team in the OPL would probably take these picks. Ultimately, Sin played great, but what was it that really just won them this game?
It felt like a bit of inconsistency and indecisions, essentially, from this lineup of Avant. They had the makings of an exceptional team fighting comp. Sin, to their credit, played super well, but Avant managing to just... to even execute as they were planning, and Sin come out ahead.
Yeah, really great stuff there. And we're going to get a little bit more from the game there as well.